From a convertible beauty that never hit production to a truck that carries its own crane, these are the wild rides that turned heads and sparked rumors. But did they really exist? Well, we're about to uncover the truth behind these unusual and most unexpected pickup trucks to ever roll down. The 1990 GMC Mahalo was this super cool concept pickup truck that really caught people's eyes with its design and features. It was like a sneak peek of the 1991 Sonoma compact pickup. What made the Mahalo stand out was that it was a convertible pickup, which you didn't see much back then. The look of the Mahalo was awesome because of its three-tone paint job. It had this bright coral color all over, with a cool diagonal design in seafoam green and some white highlights. This wasn't your typical truck color scheme. It was pretty out there and added a lot of personality to the Mahalo. Back in the 80s and 90s, car companies were trying out some wild ideas with their concept trucks, and the Mahalo was right there with them. It was part of this trend where designers were really pushing the limits and trying to do something different from the usual truck vibe. The Mahalo, with its drop-top feature and eye-catching colors, was definitely playing in that experimental playground. Even though the Mahalo was this neat idea, it stayed just that, a concept. It never actually went into production, but it's remembered as a cool example of when car makers were really going for it, trying out new looks and features, aiming to be unique. The Skoda Felicia Fun was a cool and kind of unusual pickup truck that really stood out for its fun and bright design. It came out in the 1990s, a time when you hardly saw pickup trucks in Europe. Skoda wanted to shake things up in the pickup world, so they made the Felicia Fun as a part of their Felicia lineup. They designed it to be the perfect buddy for hanging out and having a good time, painting it in a standout yellow and throwing in some neat features inside. Inside the truck, Skoda didn't hold back on the yellow theme. They painted the steering wheel, door panels, dials, gear stick, and handbrake all yellow. But the coolest part was the extra seating area behind the main cabin, where two more seats popped out. It was a small pickup, but big enough for a family to enjoy a ride, as long as nobody minded the possibility of getting a bit wet. The Felicia Fun wasn't just your average pickup with a funky look. Skoda really went all out, making it feel like those wild concept cars you'd see at car shows, but never expect to actually hit the road. When it comes to what's under the hood, the Felicia Fun was powered by a 1.6-liter engine that could hit a top speed of 101 miles per hour and had a fuel economy of 31 mpg. It was a pretty compact truck, with dimensions that made it easy to drive and park. But let's be real, the Felicia Fun wasn't meant for heavy-duty work. It was all about having a good time, which is why it was perfect for folks who loved something bright and cheerful. In the end, the Felicia Fun was a joyful ride, but not for normal usage. It's a part of Skoda's history that shows they know how to make driving fun.
Back in 1990, at the North American International Auto Show in Detroit, Nissan dropped this concept pickup truck called the GOI. The brains behind it were Bruce Campbell and his team, working under Jerry Hirschberg at Nissan Design International. Diane Allen was also part of the crew making it happen. The GOI wasn't your average truck. It took the classic two-door pickup and gave it a modern twist. They built it on a shortened version of the Nissan hardbody pickups platform. But what made the GOI stand out was its design. It wasn't boxy like most trucks back then. Instead, it had this rounded passenger area and smooth lines all over. The designers got a bit of their inspiration from helicopters, especially for the driver's area, which had a cockpit vibe and controls that were all angled towards the driver. They made the GOI to be the perfect adventure buddy for city folks. It was compact, with low sides on the bed for easy loading and unloading, and sat pretty low to the ground. Inside, the layout was off-center on purpose, focusing everything on the driver, including a pilot-style seat. The passenger seat, though, was all about comfort. Nissan also threw in some quirky storage ideas into the GOI. There were bins labeled for stuff and things and odds and ends, and the glove box could be taken out and used as a backpack. Even the sides of the truck bed could be folded down to make loading stuff easier. The GOI rocked a royal blue paint job with teal highlights, totally screaming early 90s style. Despite all these cool features, Nissan decided not to move forward with producing the GOI. Its last appearance was in New York in April 1990, and by August of that year, they figured it would just cost too much to make versus what people would actually pay for it. Last I heard, the GOI was chilling in the basement of the Lane Motor Museum in Nashville, not too far from Nissan's North American HQ. The Rinspeed Tattoocom turned heads when it showed up at the 2000 Geneva Motor Show. It's this wild pickup truck that throws back to those cool 1950s American hot rods. Rinspeed, a company from Switzerland that's known for coming up with innovative vehicles. But why they called it Tattoocom is anyone's guess. It's kind of a mystery. But building this truck was a big team effort. They got mufflers from Remus, a banging sound system and built-in video games from Sony, some shiny paint jobs from Spies Hecker, and sleek wheels from Aussie Racing. And somehow they got all these parts flown in by Lufthansa to put it all together. Under its sleek, pointed hood, the Tattoocom packs a huge American V8 engine, 5.7 liters, 409 horsepower, letting this beast hit speeds up to 158 miles per hour and go from 0 to 60 in just under 6 seconds. Plus, it's got this fancy air suspension system that lets you tweak the ride however you want with just a button push. One of the coolest tricks up its sleeve is the extra lift mechanism. It's basically a built-in crane that's remote-controlled, making it a breeze to load and unload stuff like snowmobiles onto the back. Just imagine rolling your gear onto a platform on the ground, hitting a button, and watching it lift right into the truck bed. Super handy for any kind of outdoor gear, not just snowmobiles. They even showed it off with a Ducati motorcycle and this wild scuba diving jet ski made by an American company called VOV. This jet ski could cruise underwater up to 33 feet deep, powered by an electric motor. Design-wise, the Tattoocom gives off strong 1950s pickup vibes, but with a modern twist. It's got this huge hood with big air intakes that make it look fast just standing still. The windows and windshield are super low, just like old-school hot rods, and the doors are super sleek. No handles. Just a cool electromagnetic system that opens them with a remote. Even the truck bed and tailgate are unique. The tailgate's got this transparent, super tough Lexan plate that makes the back look lighter and gives designers a lot of freedom to get creative. All in all, the Rinspeed Tattoocom was this wild mix of old-school cool and new tech. With its hot rod roots and futuristic features like the extra lift, plus all the collaboration from different companies for parts, it really stood out as something you don't see every day.
Back in 1981, Ford decided to get really wild and introduced the Ford Bronco Montana Lobo at the Chicago Auto Show. This was during a time when everyone was starting to dig smaller SUVs and pickups. Ford's answer: take a 1977 Bronco, keep its guts, the 5.0-liter V8, manual gears and rugged four-wheel drive, but throw on a body that looked like it came straight out of a sci-fi movie. The Montana Lobo concept was something else. It looked kind of like a pickup truck, but with a funky, short hood, a windshield that leaned way back, and a bed that stretched out behind the wheels like it forgot to stop growing. They even threw in some space-age sliding doors made of this plastic composite stuff, and instead of regular doors, it had these bubble-shaped ones. There was also this cool styling bar with fog lights sitting above the cab, and the back had a comfy cloth bench. But check this out. It had exhaust pipes sticking out the sides right above the running boards. Yep, pretty sure that could have ended with some singed legs if it ever went into production. Which, by the way, it didn't. Despite being one of the coolest concept pickups of the 80s, the Montana Lobo concept stayed a concept. None of its crazy features like those composite doors or the exhaust design made it to the streets. Ford teamed up with the Ghia construction studios in Italy to create this beast. It had this flashy fiberglass cab with 2 seats and a bed that looked like it was going fast even when parked, thanks to those sharp angles. It had tinted plastic doors and a plexiglass roof that you could take off. And they even thought about safety with nylon webbing for when you're cruising without doors. Inside was like a cockpit from the future, with the dashboard from a 1980 Thunderbird and an overhead console packed with gadgets, a clock, and some sort of warning system. All this futuristic design was built on the frame of the first-gen Bronco, complete with running boards, a roll bar, a winch, and tires ready for the wild. Ford called the Montana Lobo concept a peek into the future of off-roading, but its spacey design never hit the production line. Still, some ideas like the tailgate that worked as a ramp, storage spots in the side panels, and vented seats did catch on. Nowadays, finding trucks with storage in the bedsides and seats that heat or cool you down isn't all that unusual. So while the Montana Lobo concept might not have made it to your local dealership, it definitely left its mark, showing us a glimpse of what could have been in the world of off-road adventure. The Holden Special Vehicles, HSV Malo, which is basically a UT that rocked Australia from 1992 all the way to 2017. Picture this. Malo means thunder in an Australian Aboriginal language, and man, does it live up to its name. So, here's the backstory. Imagine wanting a car that can haul stuff like a truck but drives like a sporty sedan. That's what John Crennan, the big boss at HSV at the time, was dreaming about. He got the idea from the Chevy El Camino and decided to make it happen. The result? The Malo, which came in a few awesome versions like the R8, R8 SV, and the GTS. But they didn't stop there. They went all out with models like the Gen F2's GTSR and the supercharged beast, the Malo GTSR W1. Under the hood, these cars were no joke. They packed a punch with engines ranging from a classic 5.0-liter V8 to the monster 6.2-liter supercharged V8. Whether you wanted to shift gears yourself or let the car do its thing, there was a transmission for you, from 5-speed manuals to 6-speed autos. The Malo GTS, it had the same supercharged V8 as the Chevy Camaro ZL1, cranking out 580 horsepower. Yeah, that's a lot of muscle. Now, why did people love the Malo, especially in places like the US? Well, it made some appearances on Top Gear and even popped up in American pop culture, catching everyone's eye. It's this cool mix of a car that can carry your stuff but doesn't look or drive like a bulky truck. It's like having the best of both worlds. And let's talk about its legacy. This thing is not just any UT. It set a world record in 2006 as the fastest UT, hitting speeds of 168.66 miles per hour, zooming past the previous record holder, the Dodge Ram SRT-10. And that's not even its final form. Later, Malo's went even faster. HSV even thought about making Malo its own brand, which tells you how iconic it was. Sadly, that idea got dropped, but the legend of the Malo lives on.